Maybe. Welcome back, everybody. Red Sports Radio. I'm Tyler. With me is James, as always. It's that way, not this way. But anyways, got a lot to cover today. Behind me, I got a big board of different topics I want to cover with you, James, including Justin Fields, the Cowboys, and a couple other different teams such as the Dolphins and the entire AFC North. But to kick things off, we're about a quarter way through the season, James, and we've seen some teams have some success, some teams not have some success. So let's talk about maybe some of these teams that were in the playoffs last year and who's going to make it in this year, starting with the AFC and the wild card. The first wild card team in was the Los Angeles Chargers. Do we see ourselves having a Los Angeles Chargers again?
Yeah.
And I think that's a safe guess. They might be able to win their division. Again, it's a little stronger division for them. Even placing second in that division, I really do think that they have that opportunity to kind of bring it in. So that's the first wild card team, the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, sitting, I think, second in their division. I think they bring it in.
You think they bring in a wild card?
I think they bring another wild card. Right now, I think Mike Tomlin, we projected him to be third in his division. Now they're setting first in the division. Mm-hmm. So a lot of crazy things going on. It's one of our topics we're going to talk about a little later. Kind of hold that one off, but I do see Baltimore bringing it in as well. And then the last wild card team from the AFC, the Miami Dolphins. Can't say no.
Yeah, what we saw, granted, it's not a good Denver team. We get our opportunity to see the Toilet Bowl here this weekend. I'd say probably the two hands down worst teams in the NFL are going up against each other. So, no, I think, I don't think it was a fluke. Putting up 70 points at any point in time is difficult. But, yeah, they're making it in.
They're making it in. That's pretty easy. That was the last wild card team out the AFC. Let's talk about the wild card here in the NFC real quick. The Dallas Cowboys, after their performance against the Arizona Cardinals, do you see them, figuring it out and making it back into the playoffs again this year after what you've seen for the first quarter of the year?
Outside of last weekend, that defense has been dominant. They have had some injuries now. If we get the same performance out of the defense, no, I don't see them making it in. Dak isn't an elite quarterback. They have some great tools for him on the offense, but Dak hasn't shown that he's a winner.
And, that sounds crazy to a lot of people. That's a take that, you and I both very much so have, is that Dak is not that elite quarterback. He's not, taking his team to the next level. Granted, last year they were a wild card team, but they're not really doing anything in the playoffs. They're not making deep pushes, and he's not really extending that team further than what, a dominant, semi-dominant, I should say, regular season team is what he's capable of bringing a team.
He has more tools than Kirk Cousins has in Minnesota, and he does not have the same. He doesn't have the same production as what Kirk Cousins has.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at our next wild card team out the NFC would be the Giants. Out Saquon Barkley for an extended period of time. Are they able to maintain, a healthy, good, stretch of football until they can potentially make it to the playoffs? You see them there as well.
I could see it. I could see him making it.
I could see him doing it too. I think Daniel Jones is very underappreciated in that offense. He's not doing too much, to really help that team out, but he's doing just enough to keep them afloat. And I think until Saquon's back, that's what he's going to do, just keep that team afloat.
Yeah, the thing is, he's not helping them. He's just not doing any damage. If he starts doing damage, we're having a different discussion. We haven't seen any damage from him yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last team for the wild card would have been the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Geno Smith last year was absolutely crazy, and Kenneth Walker, went absolutely ballistic, and all of a sudden now they're trying to, bring in this dual threat, offensive system. Do I see Seattle bringing it back this year? I don't. I think there's going to be another team to fill that spot. It might be maybe Minnesota fills that last spot if they don't win the division out. So that's kind of where I'm seeing that last spot there in the wild card. I don't think Seattle brings it back this year to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see him bringing it to the playoffs. I see potentially, I think I agree with you with Minnesota bringing that in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at now our winners here of each division. Back to the AFC, we had Jacksonville won their division last year. Are they bringing it back to the playoffs? Are they going to try to give themselves a push?
Man, I don't. That is such a hard division to call. I could see the Texans making a push at it. I could see the Colts making a push at it. I think that one may be the biggest toss-up of any of the divisions. Other than, obviously, we're talking about another one here shortly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see Jacksonville. I think I said it a little bit earlier in one of our earlier podcasts with, the Colts, really dominating it out there. And then maybe even now with CJ Stroud, like you were talking about, and the Texans. I think that both of those teams seem to be more well put together at this point in time. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars have been doing it for a little bit longer than the Texans, but I think the Texans have really figured it out well for what they have. And I think that they're able to excel past the Jaguars this year.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Absolutely. So our next divisional winner would have been the Cincinnati Bengals, one of our biggest toss-ups here in the entire NFL. I don't see them making it, not from what I've seen.
Man, it's so hard to say. We're seeing an injured Joe Burrow right now. Jamar Chase had it. They just haven't done much. That's really kind of thrown me off. From what we've seen so far this year, I don't know. From what we know of Joe Burrow's career, that dude's making the freaking playoffs.
Yeah, to your point, from his career, he's a playoff guy, but again, like you had said, his injuries are really holding him back, and I think that a lackluster start to his season might be the reason they don't make the playoffs. So I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to make the playoffs unless all of a sudden he has a miraculous turnaround, in the latter half of the season. But I don't see him next week being a stellar performance. I don't see it in week 5 being a stellar performance. So he needs a really good, stellar second half of the season to give his team that opportunity.
I think any week he could come out and give us a stellar performance. I don't think he's, if we're having a conversation right now, I still think the only quarterback that we're going to have a conversation about that could potentially be better than Patrick Mahomes is Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
He has won at every single level he has ever played in.
Okay. The Buffalo Bills, after what their start is, do we see them winning their division or being, maybe a wild card team? I think they're a playoff team, but it's a matter of, are they going to win that division out? At this point, that's kind of shaky.
Yeah. I see him in the wild card.
I have Stephon Diggs, sitting, riding, my team, and, he's a solid starter, but he's not really bringing in the fantasy production that we saw from him last year, 2 years ago. And all of a sudden now the Bills are, left with more questions than answers at this point in time. So I'm going to put them at a wild card, spot here in the AFC East.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just been a weird year. When we're talking about quarterback production, it's just been weird.
Yeah.
Who would have thought we're sitting here, and at least on a fantasy points perspective, do you know who has the most fantasy points of any quarterback?
Oh, off the top, I want it to say, I don't.
Kirk Cousins. This week he put up a ton of points, but no, we're talking about, the guy in Minnesota that everybody talks down on all the time. He doesn't win primetime games, but he's pointing. So,
he doesn't win primetime, but he wins everything else.
Huh?
He doesn't win primetime, but he wins everything else.
Exactly. And I think Josh Allen, great guy, great quarterback. I'm just kind of suspicious on him too. The Bills have not been able to put it together. Yeah, they've gone and battled and lost every single time. Well, I think that is actually like a story of their franchise, though. So, yeah, I think they make the playoffs, but I mean, it's going to be kind of lame. Again, we all know what's going to happen.
And then the last team out the AFC that, made the playoffs, I don't think there's any question about it, is the Chiefs. They're going back again.
Yeah.
So that rounds out the AFC. There's going to be a couple of teams that, maybe we want to discuss maybe in the next podcast as to who's going to fill those holes between maybe, Baltimore if they don't make it, between Jacksonville if they're not making it. What teams are going to fill those holes? I think that's going to be a good topic of conversation maybe for next week. I'm not as prepared to tell you, what teams I think yet. I'd like to see another week in action, despite, some injuries that we've had throughout the season. So a couple of different things. I'd like to do a little bit more digging into each division and each team and to really see, when certain guys are going to be coming back and to really come, fully prepared for that conversation. But for now, I think we've nailed the AFC pretty well as to what teams from last year are going to be making it in. Looking at the NFC, though, we got the Eagles and the 49ers. We both said that they're going to be making it in. The Minnesota Vikings, again, can be either they're going to win the division or they're going to make it in. So that's 3 out of the 4 division winners right there. And then last but not least, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made it in last year. Not with Chris Olave and the Saints. I think that they're going to do better than the Buccaneers. For that reason, I don't have the Buccaneers in my, slotted playoff teams.
The Saints are playing well. I think they make it. Olave is going off, kind of taking that spot of Thomas, and they're doing well. I'm glad I drafted Olave in like the 6th round of my fantasy draft.
That's a steal. He shouldn't have been a 6th round pick in any draft, but
yeah, it was wild.
That you had a lot of wild things in your draft, and I hope that at some point we get to hear about some of the different things that you saw through your draft, and maybe some of the interesting things going on in your league. I know you're pretty excited about what's going on.
No, that we talked about. You've seen my draft. You knew that my sleeper pick was Marvin Mims Jr. The one bright shining star for Denver. He's leading that offense. He has had 9 targets, and he is the most efficient receiver on that offense. Averaging, it's like 27.9 yards per reception.
Oh, by far.
Jerry Jeudy, they're trying to throw to Sutton still. I think Sean Payton's lost his mind. They may have gone on the coaching roulette wheel and stabbed. Drew Brees is the one that made the Saints good, is what Sean Payton's showing us so far.
Yeah. So that kind of looks at what our last year's playoffs look like. Like I said, I got a couple different things on the board I want to talk about. First and foremost, the guy that I had very high on my quarterback ranking list, the guy that I preached a lot about, said some very great things about. The name's Justin Fields. Is it entirely his fault, though, for the way that he lost in Kansas? Is it entirely his fault right now for being 0-3? I don't think so. There's a lot of things going on with the defensive coordinator, with him being rated and with different, situations going on within the organization itself, and obviously there's what's his name, Chris Jones, defensive, tackle in Kansas, never once got double teamed. So that man had a free run at the quarterback almost every play. And then if you look, there had been no designed runs for multiple quarters of the game. So the Chiefs knew exactly what to game plan for, stay back in pass protection and rush 3 because we know we can get through that offensive line that is incredibly weak. Do I blame it on Justin Fields? No. But do I blame not having 6 points, 3 points until the 4th quarter on him? Absolutely. You need to be able to command your team to get down the field, to get into that scoring range, even if your offensive line is bad. So I think it's on both the coaching and on the quarterback play, as well as, maybe the offensive line.
I don't know if we can even sit down and say, is this a problem with Justin Fields? Is it a problem with the coaching? Just a sec.
So he's back. There's going to be a couple more topics we're going to talk about. Cowboys is next. Dolphins is up. AFC North is here. If you guys have any questions about anything we're talking about, please leave a comment in. We'll definitely get to it. We definitely have the time for it today. So just go ahead, leave everything in the comments for us, and maybe we can get your questions answered.
So I'm going to go ahead and say this is, at this point, they came out, Ryan Poles came out and said, we're fixing the offensive line. You know, and that's a general manager's responsibility, is putting players on the field. This is a failure at his level. This is a failure at the franchise level. And, you know, unfortunately, they're not going to fire themselves. The owners aren't going to step out and fire him. He should have been fired after, if they have another week like that, he should openly execute him, let him go. Like, don't even call him. Just tell the media, hey, he's been fired. Pack his stuff. Like, he said specifically before the season, we are fixing the offensive line. And the offensive line looks worse than it did last year. You have to account for injuries. Don't come out and say, oh, well, there were injuries. You're the general manager. Your job is to put players on the field. Your job is to account for injuries. You're not doing your job.
No, and the coaching job is to make sure that you're double teaming Chris Jones, who has a free rush at the quarterback every single play.
Yeah,
every play.
Coaching plays, but I mean, the general manager just screwed the pooch on. If Justin Fields has a bad career, it's going to be that guy's fault. It'll be the Bears organization's fault, because coming out of Ohio State, I don't know if you remember, he walked all over Lawrence and made him look foolish.
Absolutely. I remember that. And I remember screaming and jumping. And I actually had a noise complaint from my neighbors how loud I was when they drafted that guy. So I remember everything that Justin Fields did because I watched his career religiously. So I was ecstatic to have that man. What I'm not ecstatic about is what this organization has done to numerous quarterbacks dating all the way back since before Cutler.
Yeah. No. The Bears organization hasn't been good since the 80s.
They've killed every quarterback that's ever walked through their organization. Absolutely killed them.
Yeah, and the only reason my Lions are good at this point is because the old Fords left and Sheila Ford took over, and she's making all the decisions now. Lions were in that same boat with the Fords. They didn't care about football. They just owned the team. We have an owner now that cares about football. And, hey, guess what? Things are exciting in Detroit.
Absolutely exciting. And the only thing not exciting in the North is Chicago.
Oh,
hell, even Love is exciting.
I think the Packers are frauds. We're going to find out tonight. I think this is the first time they're going to play an actual team. They played the Bears and they played the Falcons very closely. I mean, the Bears weren't so close, but they played the Falcons pretty close there in week 2. And, I mean, we really haven't seen – now that we're getting some tape on Love, it's going to be interesting.
He's missed some very nice, targets down the field. There was one to his tight end who beat all of the coverage and just completely overthrew him. If that was a catch, there was a touchdown there against the Saints. Again, they ended up winning that game, but I don't think it was Love's reason that they won the game.
No, I think they had to pull out the entire playbook in order for him to win the game this time around. If you guys can't see, these chicken legs are wonderful. I'm starving and trying to eat before the game. But no, I think they had to pull out, their entire playbook in order to beat him. So we have tape on. That was the thing. Teams didn't have tape on Love because he hasn't played since college.
Absolutely.
Now we're getting tape on the guy. We'll see what he's all about.
Absolutely. So that covers Justin Fields. It's his fault. It's the organization's fault, and it's the coaching fault. Chicago is just everybody at fault. I think that's fair to say. Everybody's at fault in Chicago. So that marks that off. Justin Fields, done talked about. Next topic of conversation, the Cowboys. After losing to Arizona, their defense allowing, some of the largest yards, per play average in that game, is that defense the number one defense that you and I had predicted before the season started, or is that just one fluke game? I think they're still a strong defense. I don't think they're the number one defense anymore.
I don't know. I think time's going to tell on that one. The defense that we saw play, I mean, granted, they've had some injuries. Maybe their secondary is just that porous.
Maybe. I know their defense, whatever, this, that, and the third. we had them ranked before anything else. We had the Cowboys ranked as the number one defense before we ranked even any of our quarterbacks. We had them ranked before we had ranked our wide receivers. We knew the Cowboys was the number one defense. I was about ready to drop in an F word in there, and it's okay if I do.
No, it's not. I washed your mouth out with soap, Tyler.
Absolutely. Again, we had the Cowboys way up here, okay? They were way up here. All of a sudden, the Arizona Cardinals, who absolutely have done nothing up into this point in the season, decided that they were going to make their defense look stupid. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that the Cowboys are the number one defense in the
We have to
league.
give that bar to San Francisco now. I mean, San Francisco's playing, man, I don't even know. Because they've let some weird stuff happen, too.
And that there's just so much, kind of going on. But I saw that game, and I saw the Bears game, and then I saw point number 3, the Dolphins game.
Ooh.
So, are the Broncos that bad? Are the Dolphins that good? Is it a combination of both? What is it? Because at this point, they should have kicked a 3 and scored the most points in an NFL game since 1966.
Yeah, man. I'm a little lost on that one, to be honest with you.
First of all, I don't think that, their coach over there, had any idea that they were 3 points away from setting an NFL record. I don't think he knew that, because if that's the case, you're kicking for 3. I don't care that at that point, you're already up 50 points.
I'm sure somebody whispered in his ear. Did you know that was his first football job was being a ball boy for the Denver Broncos?
And then they decided that they were not going to give him an interview for a head coaching job.
That was his hometown team. So, man, that one's tough. Would you do that to your hometown team? Given everything.
Absolutely. After not allowing me to have an interview, just an interview, straight up telling me absolutely no, after I worked for your organization as a ball boy, not to just give me the opportunity at an interview, of course I'm kicking for 3, and I'm going to shove it down your throat. Because that's what they did all game long. They could have pulled the reins back. They could have put in, backups a lot sooner than they did. They could have done a lot more things to keep that game a little bit more interesting. But no, they decided to run that score up. He knew exactly what he was doing. He just had no idea he was that close to a record. Had no idea.
Yeah, I'll give it to him. That was a fun game to watch, man.
He had no idea. So that goes to the Dolphins. And how wrong were we, both of us, wrong about the AFC North, saying that Mike Tomlin was going to be 3rd in the division. He's now 1st. We said that the Browns were going to be, 4th in the division. They're sitting a little bit higher than 4th. We said that, who else is in that division? You had the Ravens, the Browns, the Steelers. We said that we had it all wrong.
Bengals are sitting last. We thought they were going to be 1st. I mean, we have the Browns in there. I think Deshaun had he had a productive week this week. Looked good. Definitely making a comeback. We're seeing more of an aerial attack from them with the Chubb injury, which I think everyone had expected. So, yeah, I really can't say anything bad about the Browns here. The Bengals just haven't lived up to their potential. Mike Tomlin, my personal opinion, probably one of the coaches we have right now, outside Belichick, obviously, probably the best football-minded coach in the NFL. You can say what you want. Oh, all these offensive gurus. I would like for you to tell me Mike Tomlin's last losing season.
A couple years ago, wasn't it?
No, I don't think he's had a losing season. It's hard. We did have him ranked lower. And I think if we went back and watched it, we both said, it's hard to bet against Tomlin.
And that is exactly, almost word for word, exactly what we said. And we said that that's probably going to be the hardest division for us to call. So for us to be as wrong as we were, at least we were right about the fact that it's a tougher division and there's a lot of crazy things going on. And the Browns sitting, I believe, in 3rd in that division. I could be wrong.
Yep.
Sitting in 3rd, still have one of the better defenses in football, and we're watching them.
Man, I think we start seeing Watson. I think he was the 13th ranked quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Here so far coming into this week, man, we start seeing him click and start being that top 10, top 5 fantasy point quarterback that we've seen. That's a scary good team.
Yeah.
We aren't going to see Chubb come back this. We may never. I feel so bad for him. I've seen a bunch of the memes of him showing, both his leg injuries. What was it, 2018, and then this year? Man, God bless that guy. We may not see him come back. That did not. That looked. I would have tapped out. Like, this football thing made a bunch of money. Not for me.
I'd step back. At least you have guaranteed money coming in.
Yeah, I mean, find something else, dude.
Start a podcast, dude. Every other NFL player's doing it. Why not you?
Sorry, I need something to drink. I had to go grab a water out of the little fridge there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that covers everything that I had that I really wanted to talk about today. I really wanted to get my heat off real quick with Justin Fields because it's not entirely his fault, but it is his fault, and obviously with the Cowboys losing crazy and all kinds of different things. We got, coaches and stands, letting fans call plays, and it's wild.
The organization just they're not doing well.
At least he's having fun,
Man, I don't know. There has to come a point where it's not fun anymore.
Yeah. But anyways,
I'm a Lions fan. Man, I went years without watching the NFL. Like when we were real bad. Like early 2000 teens. Like, I don't even want to watch. Like,
I'm this close. This close.
Yeah. Like, dude, watch a couple games and be like, yep, same old Lions, not turning this back on next week. So,
ridiculous.
Got to keep chugging.
I was so excited. I had so many great things to say about that organization moving into it. And I'm like, there's so many great things I saw out of preseason and right back to shitty football.
I didn't believe
it. I know you didn't. And that's my inner Cowboys fan in me. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I'm acting like one.
Yeah. I mean, Bears fans have always been, unreasonable, just like Cowboys fans, except for you guys. Like, I mean, all right, you made a Super Bowl. You had one random Super Bowl. But other than that, you haven't been good since the 80s.
No. Not at all.
Like,
Cutler was the best quarterback we've had,
We're America's team. It's like, dude, you guys won some Super Bowls, 30 years ago and haven't been good since? Get off your high horse.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a Lions fan. We've never been good. You know what we've been good at? Destroying arguably the best running back and the best wide receiver's entire career. We are good career stealers. That's all we got.
And we are the best, quarterback, destroyers of all.
Man, fair. I'll give that to you. Justin Fields, I think, has a lot of potential on a different team.
Yeah. You throw him in Baltimore and, let Lamar, rest up a little bit. I think he just thrives in that offense.
I think Justin Fields is a starting quarterback. I think you put all right. This is going to be a hot take. But I think if you pull him and pull Herbert and put a more mobile quarterback in that position, if Fields can work out his accuracy issues, that's a Super Bowl winning team.
There's a lot, to unpack there, but potentially.
I just don't think Herbert. I mean, let's move him. Let's say put him with the Cowboys.
Oh, if you put him in Dallas, he's succeeding.
Yeah, I mean, Dak succeeds there, but I think we would see him
thrive.
It's tough because Jerry Jones is just way too involved.
Yeah.
Like, that fine line on ownership.
I think there's a lot to be said, about that organization and what they're doing. But even if you throw Justin Fields in there, and if he's able to block out, some of the unnecessary noise, which I don't know if he's at that point yet. He's,
Right.
Starting to blame coaching right now, and he's saying it's coaching the reason, that they lost so bad. And is it entirely, whatever. But if he's able to block that out and end up in Dallas, hypothetically, he thrives.
No, I think there's a lot of places that he could thrive. Chicago just needs to field a team. And if that means they need to fire everybody, they need to fire everybody. Let me check my battery percentage. All right, 6%. We're doing good.
We're doing great.
There's absolutely no excuse for, what you guys are doing to that kid's career. And I want everybody to also realize that Detroit went into that stadium and won.
Yeah.
We're in the same division. One of my favorite sayings is FTB. We've hated you guys for a long time. We got our revenge on Green Bay last year in the final game of the season when we won.
Oh, that was a beautiful game.
Stopped their playoff chances.
That was so beautiful.
I hope the Lions go in and stomp the Bears' hopes and dreams. Cheers. One sec.
Cheers to that, I guess. But Kyle, I'm reading what you're saying. Yes, I did crown Fields as an MVP caliber quarterback after, 3 for 3, 120-yard preseason game. I thought that man was capable of an MVP caliber football. I still think he is capable of MVP caliber football. Let me not take that away from him. He is still MVP caliber. I don't think the offense is built to allow him to achieve that MVP.
No, it's not an MVP organization.
It's not. And they have MVP caliber players, such as Justin Fields.
They have MVP caliber skill players. Letting go of Montgomery this year, I think, was a mistake. There's just been so many questionable things happening on the side of the coaching, happening on the side of player management, general manager, that how can you ever win? You aren't going to win with only skilled position players. Fix the fucking line like you said you would.
Please, for my sanity.
Quit. Go donate your freaking paycheck to the soup kitchen of Chicago because you don't deserve the money.
Well, I think the soup kitchen would find better players to fit in certain roles.
Man, you offer some of those. And you've walked around Chicago before. They'd be able to field a great offensive line. Just offer them a bowl of beans and wieners.
Give them Frank and beans right before the game, and they're going to be, leaving teams in a cloud of dust.
Hey, you want some glizzies? These guys will come out there and kill for you.
So I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about fantasy. That's something that, we kind of discussed, bringing into this and making sure that we have all this kind of enveloped. Is there anything that you had, maybe prepared for me, about some fantasy conversation?
Man, so what do you think about do you think Sean Payton is going to give – let's just jump right into that. Where do you think the receiver room stands in Bronco land?
It's Mims, and Mims.
Yeah. But we have the coach coming out and saying, hey, we're going to get him some snap. He has 9 targets on the year. And, with those 9 targets, he has, I think, 27.9 yard average per reception. They're still trying to throw to Courtney Sutton, who, everybody dropped Kadarius Toney after week 1, right? Let us know if you still have Kadarius Toney on your team after his, and I don't even want to call it butterfingers on his part, because if you look back at the tape, you watch the game, Patrick Mahomes threw 3 feet behind him on, I think 8 or 9 of those potential targets. So you can't really blame him, but everybody dropped him.
I held on to him. I actually had him on my team. I held on to him. It was just more recently I dropped him to outsource to maybe someone who's going to receive more, target share and some more volume. But I held on to him after the drops.
But man, I think Marvin Mims is definitely, still that. I think he's going to be that guy. Everybody's been picking him up. Pachane, everybody's been picking up.
Tank Dell. He's now a new pickup.
There's been some players, some new guys coming out there and really showing their stuff. I think I am most excited. We just saw the Broncos get blown out. But I do think, if Russell Wilson can find his way back into throwing the football accurately, that could be a really fun duo to see. And if he can't, I hope they find a QB that can toss the ball, because that man is going to be fun to watch.
Let's ride.
Beyond that, you brought up Kenneth Walker earlier. Kenneth Walker is still looking great, holding on to that the RB1 position with the Seahawks. I know in my league he put up about 31 points this week. He's looking really good. Aaron Jones potentially coming back tonight, which I need to double check that as soon as we get off. Tyler, you got a computer? Let me know. Aaron Jones coming back?
I'll pull it up right now for you while we're here. Aaron Jones return for you. Actually, Kyle might be able to know this too if Aaron Jones is coming back. He might even have him on his team. No, he doesn't. Oh no. Players.
I'll be getting that report here soon. And, I think who's been the most surprising player to you so far this year, Tyler?
Off of my fantasy team, currently, who's done me the most surprising? Honestly, I don't really have anyone on my team. Alexander Madison's been looking like absolute dog snot for me. I expected him to do something out in Arizona. But just looking at it, anybody out of Miami, A-Chain,
yeah,
absolutely. Raheem Mostert, I'll give him the most surprising player out of everybody here. I didn't have him in my top, running back spot. And if he continues on the tear he's on, he's going to be just a stellar guy for the Miami offense. So I'm going to have to say my most surprising player to look at right now is going to have to be Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, has that RB2 spot locked in when they have a comeback. A chain, though, man. My waiver wire pickup of the week, baby.
I got him too. Actually, I just had a lot of good pickups. I was just able to pick up CJ Stroud for my bench. I was able to pick up Tank Dell for riding out that flex spot for me. And then I was also able to get up A-Chain as well.
All right, so here's the next one we're going to talk about, guys. I asked my brother this the other day. I need to know from everybody else. So I got Mims riding my bench right now. This is going to sound funny, so I'll just let you guys know now. Pittman from Indy is my flex receiver. Do I swap Mims with Pittman? Tyler, let me know before the games on Sunday who they pick to play in that flex spot, whether it be Mims or Pittman, and that's who I'm going to play.
All right. So, Kyle, you're here now. Maybe get our first vote in on that one. Mims or Pittman for the flex spot. James, I'm gonna give you my take on it. The Bears look like absolute dog shit, so just go ahead and put in Mims. But again, I think Pittman's gonna, get more guaranteed targets and more guaranteed looks.
Agreed.
At this current moment in time. I don't think you go wrong either way. Personally, I don't think you can go wrong either way. And then I never ended up looking up your Aaron Jones answer for you. So let me go ahead and grab that for you. I think he is starting today.
Good. I've had a rocky road with running back.
So Aaron Jones is going to be on a snap count today. It is what it is. So he's going to play, but it's going to be, monitored very heavily.
Yeah. Okay.
which I think we could have.
When the Packers realize that they're outgunned, and then they're just going to sit them out once they realize they're completely outgunned and there's nothing they can do, and they actually aren't a good team this year.
All right, James, you're getting your first vote in for Mims because I know mine's not going to count towards the total numbers here, but we do have one for Mims.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about him, man. I think he's going to be fun to watch. Wait, is that somebody that's in my league? If you're in my league and watching this, you don't get a vote.
It's not. He's not in your league. He's in mine.
All right.
Which also, by the way, I do want to announce this live. Next year we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to have a Red Sports draft, and so we're going to be able to. James and I are going to be in the same league, so we're not talking about two separate leagues. So if you want to join in on that, go ahead and comment your starting lineup that you have in, and the first, so many people that are going to sign in. What are we going to do, James? A 12 or a 10-man league? What do you want to do?
Let's do. I really like 10-man leagues.
All right, we're going to do a 10-man league. So the first 8 to drop in, what their fantasy team looks like. We'll go ahead and add you into the league, and we're going to have a Red Sports League put together.
So, all right, Tyler and I have talked about this personally, and he's kind of gawked. I don't really know how this happened, but I'll go ahead and run it for you guys.
Oh, you cut out on me, James. There you are.
My team is starting quarterback for this week is going to be Joe Burrow. It's between him and Deshaun. So Deshaun's riding my bench. Then I have Jamar Chase, D. Adams. We play 3 receivers. So that last one is Chris Olave. I got Aaron Jones, obviously, in that starting spot, RB1 spot. Picked up a chain this week. Had Cam Akers, dropped him when he just hadn't been doing much, so I dropped him, which was kind of dumb. A little bit early on dropping him. I was angry with him, so I dropped him immediately, then saw he was a quick pickup. But, oh well, it happens. And then I have, Pittman or Mims in that flex spot. Justin Tucker as my kicker, and the Cowboys defense. I feel like I did pretty good with drafting that team.
Yeah, you got quite a few steals, and then you got what you said was your number 1 sleeper pick going into the draft in Mims, and excited to potentially see you.
Everything's saying pick him up from the waiver wire a week ago, and I was like, no, I drafted that dude in my very last pick.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see you throw him in your starting lineup if we don't get anyone else to let us know Mims. But at this point in time, we're about a quarter way through the season. Man, there's just so much, football, kind of going on. Today's what? We're looking at the Packers and the Lions.
Yep, we got Packers-Lions tonight, boys.
Packers-Lions. If you were to pick one stellar performance, who's going to be your one stellar performer out of tonight's game?
Gibbs.
We'll put it on the running back.
Throw down.
Put it on the running back.
Yeah.
I
give him some more opportunities. Let's see what he can do. He's been playing great. We do have Montgomery coming back this week. Thank you, Bears, for letting him go to a better team. Looking forward to seeing him help us. But I do think Gibbs is. We're going to see a great game from Gibbs.
All right. And for the few people that are watching that are able to actually go ahead and put in a bet on tonight's game, if you were to put in a bet, who are you taking on the money line for this game?
And I can't. I'm in Florida now, so I don't get to sports bet.
Oh, we lost him. Entirely too sad. So he doesn't get to sports bet anymore. Which that was something that he liked to enjoy to do every now and again here. But if I'm taking it, I'm gonna put it on Detroit. I don't see a reason why not to. If I can find a way to bring him back alive, I don't know how to. Oh, here we go. We got James back in. Let me go ahead and throw him in.
All right.
I already put my pick out there, James. I'll let you go ahead and explain your answer and who you're putting in on the money line for tonight's game.
the Lions. Come on.
So we got 2 on the Lions, so that's easy pick there. So if you are, on the fence about who to pick up in tonight's game, to win some money, put it on the Lions.
We just haven't seen Green Bay hasn't played a good team. They did in New Orleans. But other than that, I had to plug my phone in. They just really haven't. We haven't seen them prove themselves anywhere, any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all. I am excited for this, upcoming week. Maybe see the Bears get their first win, but if not, it's okay because we can go ahead and tank, go grab a new quarterback, maybe grab new coaching staff and grab, new coordinators and
you don't need a new quarterback.
Just get an entirely new system from the top down. I'm excited for that. I'm also excited to see the Lions or not the Lions, the Panthers lose. I'm praying the Panthers continue to lose due to that trade. So if we have them keep losing, we have, the Bears keep losing. That's 2 top picks right there for us. I'm praying.
Unless you change the top, none of that matters. You guys will blow it. You'll draft skill players and yeah, Kyle, I agree. I'm excited to watch this Bears-Broncos game. I don't know. It's the toilet bowl. We are going to be watching the toilet bowl, and I am so excited for it.
It is fun. The crappiest team in all of the NFL going up against the team that lost the biggest in all of the NFL, last week. So 2 of the worst teams going head to head, and I think that they're actually going to battle it out, and I think it's going to be absolutely electric to watch.
So, I mean, we almost have to unload that though. Like, is Denver really that bad? Or are the Dolphins really that good? Are the Dolphins are they the most explosive offense to ever step onto a field?
I think that Miami is one of the most explosive teams that we have seen in the past decade. I'm not gonna say that. However, at the same time, I think the Broncos suck just that bad that fans in the stadium can call whatever play that they want to call, and it works to perfection. So I think that defense and that offense in Denver is just that bad. I think it's a combination of both.
I think there's a combination, but man, if you're calling them that bad, do you want to eat that crow? We both have to eat crow on Tua. Number one. Like, we didn't know if he was that guy. Well, the dude balled out.
He's that guy.
Are you ready to eat crow if they come out there and they whoop the Bears on Sunday?
I will eat it because I don't think that they whoop the Bears. I don't think a whooping happens.
Would you want some candy or a whooping? Huh? You want Justin Fields
both
out there going, ooh, a whooping? No one's gonna know what that's from, but it's all good.
Look, I'm gonna take the Broncos in it. I don't think it's a whooping. I'm just praying that the Bears lose every single game this year at this point. I am not praying for a Bears victory.
Oh, dude. I've been there with a team that did lose every single game. Lost every single game. All the draft picks in the world couldn't have helped the Lions until Sheila Ford took over. And hey, buddy, you want to know something? Until you get a new general manager, all the draft picks in the world ain't going to help you.
Maybe not, but damn it, let's get them while we have them.
It just gets you Barry Sanders retiring early, Calvin Megatron retiring early, and then they had the audacity to say, hey, we need our money back. Finally, Sheila Ford at least fixed that relationship. Like, yeah. Dude, I'm excited to see the Lions do well. I still am very, very skeptical of everything that's going on right now because I don't trust them. They've done nothing but screw up my whole life.
Yeah.
At least you Bears guys have blind hope.
Blind hope. I have absolutely no hope because I've not been alive to see them good.
Well, you guys saw, I mean, what year did they go to the Super Bowl? Cutler brought them there, right?
I don't think it was Cutler.
Was it Trubisky?
No, but
it wasn't old Mitch. Cutler.
Was it Orton?
Before Cutler? Tebow?
Yeah,
Nah, Tebow didn't play for the Bears, did he?
Tebow. I think it was Orton, right?
Yep, that's it. Bears randomly will throw in a good season, but I'm just ready. Like I've said before multiple times, you have a Lions fan and a Bears fan on this podcast, and we are real sick. Like I'm saying, Jordan Love, he's not. That's hopeful for me. With me saying Jordan Love is not that guy, that is very hopeful for me. Because how lucky would an organization have to be to not once, not twice, but 3 times draft Hall of Fame freaking quarterbacks back to back?
You're saying release an open investigation on the Packers?
Yep.
I don't think it's going to happen, but 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row, if that's what Love turns out to be, which he won't.
No, I don't think so either.
If he keeps squeaking out with wins, they might be able to write that narrative correctly for him. But hey, James, we're about 51 minutes in. I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about between poor Justin Fields and the entire terrible Chicago offense, the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, curb stomping the crap out of the Broncos, and then how incorrect we were about the North, but correct at the same time.
It really was. So, well, hey, as always, let me get to some light. As always, good to see you guys. Sorry I did not have my phone charged quite enough for an entire hour-long video podcast without having it plugged in. But next week, I think I'll bust out the computer to make sure that we're all there. Good seeing you, Tyler.
Yeah, good seeing you, man, and we'll be back at it next week. Also, before we go, I'm going to put this out there because I don't want to be missing any more podcasts. We're 3 weeks without one? So
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and make all of our viewers a deal. If I miss any more podcasts, if I miss any more dates, I'll go ahead and send them whatever free piece of merch off of our merch store, whatever they want. I'll send it right to their doorstep. Compliments
Same
to
goes
us.
for me. And I'll be honest with you, if I miss, Tyler, I'm holding you to that. You hold me. Accountability.
I'll hold you to it. You hold me to it. Let's not miss because I don't really have too much money to be throwing out like that. So let's go ahead and be back in next week. We're going to be shooting for what, Wednesdays?
We're going to be shooting Wednesdays. Well, yeah, I think we're going to shoot for Wednesdays. If we have to jump on, I kind of like this Thursdays right before jumping on an hour before, Thursday night football too. But I think we're going to do it Wednesdays, just so we have a little bit more of an opportunity.
Okay, let's stick for Wednesdays. And again, if we don't do it, we'll pick a random subscriber to our YouTube channel and we'll send them a free piece of merch. So go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, to go ahead and get yourself entered in for that.
All right. Hey, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, have a good night. Let's talk to you next week, James.
I'll text you during this game because I'm about to talk a lot of crap.
Okay.
Later.
Later.